board meeting. We met at 3 o'clock to discuss the items that had come forward at the public hearing last week. So we'll now entertain a motion to adopt the budget for the FY '22 year.
Mr. Chairman, let's go. I know it's ladies and gentlemen, I agree with the chairman. It's like my granddaughter told me one time. She said, "Do you have to pray twice?" I said, "You ought to pray 50 times." So I say let's follow the agenda and do the because a lot of these folks, like I seen this, the chief Schutz had been here, and the mayor. Let's go through the agenda and. Is that in front? Is that what's in front of me now? Right.
On the back.
Call to order and then invocation and.
On the back.
Is that the next meeting?
Yeah, that's the next meeting. We're down now, Mr.
Okay, so I've been in too many meetings.
We're down to adopting the budget. We'll reconvene in the meeting.
Okay.
And we're not going through a whole lot of stuff. The board now will entertain a motion to adopt the budget.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the budget and just open discussion to saying this real quick, that I'm making a motion to adopt the budget and that we would do any line item changes if necessary throughout the fiscal year. Correct?
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved in second.
And set the levy as advertised. Thank you.
Right.
Uh-oh.
I'll recommend that as a separate motion and a separate, for
Okay.
your tax rates.
On setting the levy.
I'm sorry, yeah, the tax rates, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to adopt the budget and then set the,
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to adopt the budget as discussed in the previous meeting.
right.
Okay? And she
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion is passed to
Okay.
adopt the budget.
Now we need the motion to set the levy.
Set the tax rates as advertised.
Set the tax rates as advertised. I make that motion.
Okay, it's been moved in. Is there a second?
Lynn second.
Lynn did second, okay. It's been moved and seconded that we set the levy and then advertise. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The budget has been passed. You want to talk about we'll take time now to discuss what you want to discuss, Mr. Bowen.
No, I just some people won't hear, and I just, of course, you can read about it in the paper next week. I thought we had to put a robust conversation. We have enough funding that we feel like the board has put enough funding in capital outlay. Actually, it falls under Parks and Rec line item, which we'd like to rectify that. Yeah, and so we know there was a lot of discussion on some changes, especially when it comes down to how much money will we actually get the grant for. Well, it's not really a grant, but it's funding for the fire truck. What's fair for giving the money out to the two entities, emergency squad, plus the Burkeville's department. And so we had those discussions, and the board is in pretty much support of making sure that these things will be taken care of as the year progresses. And I think it was another issue we talked about.
Salaries,
Yeah, salary.
employee salaries.
Yeah, we got the total amount of salary, but we will take a look at salary, every time you stand up, I automatically shut up.
You didn't stand up quick enough.
Right, don't do that, you're right, go ahead.
Okay, so that was pretty much summed it up, right? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, is that close? Okay.
I was going to recommend, on that note, now that you've gotten to that, that you actually make a motion to confirm the salary increase, because there were a couple of things in the budget, and and this is for payroll, the payroll department's purposes, just so that they have proper authorization. So because the budget, like I said, the numbers included a couple of things, but I would suggest that you vote on what you're approving versus not at this point.
Okay. So I think what my understanding, and I need that in a motion for, so my understanding is, my motion would be we're approving the 5% increase for all employees,
Effective July 1st.
effective July 1st, as of right now.
As of right now, and that the salaries would remain, all salaries would remain as they are today, with a 5% increase effective July 1st.
Okay.
No other changes at this time.
I put that in the motion form, just like she stated.
Okay, there,
Second.
okay. All right. Do I need to carry? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a
all
second?
in favor?
need to carry.
I did the second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the item that our attorney was talking about with the 5%, we'll put that in the budget. I mean, it's already in the budget. Question.
If I may clarify, and the issue is there's actually more money than that in the budget, but this is just to clarify that the payroll item and the payroll line in each department would be distributed in accordance with that directive that you're voting on.
Yeah. Question.
Yes, sir. What happens to the additional funds for the ones where it was above 5%?
It stays in the department until you instruct, and I think you're going to talk about that. It's my understanding that, and that it may actually end up going through, that's my understanding.
It is.
But I wanted clarification for the payroll department, because that will help them, having been on that side, it'll just help them to ensure that that's processed properly. But the money would just stay there, and then it would be distributed in accordance with whatever future directives, assuming if you adopted it like it was presented, that's fine. It would be there, or if there are any changes or, additions here, it would be there.
All right, and the only reason why I asked that question is because I still stand firm with the fact that I believe these employees need to be paid up to what that salary study said, plus any increases that they would have incurred since that time frame. So, yeah.
And it's my understanding that the only question or the only objective is that even further in-depth analysis be taking place. Not to deny anyone anything, but to make sure it's accurate.
Okay.
That's my understanding. The only reason, it was your choice. I just brought it up
Yeah,
because that was
that's
my
fine. That's fine, John.
interpretation of what was discussed.
Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The chair now will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's a move that we adjourn. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay,
Members, do you all want to go right into the four-tick local redevelopment authority meeting, or do you want any type of short recess?
No, rock and roll, brother.
Roll.
Well, it said approximately 7:15, so it's approximately.
It also said at the conclusion of the.
Right.
so let's move on.
So we'll call this first meeting of the four-ticket local redevelopment authority meeting to order. Mr. Hill would deliver the invocation for us.
Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for the beautiful day you sent for us to enjoy. We thank you for this county and what it means to each and one of us citizens and elected officials and all employees. We look to you for guidance and strength. We pray that you would give us our shortcomings, give us guidance to enjoy the blessings you give to us. May we use these resources to the best of our ability. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Man.
Thank you, John.
Stand and say pledge
Pledge
allegiance.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the first meeting of the four-ticket local redevelopment authority under the new conditions. We need to elect officers for this group. Do we have any nominations for the position of chairman for the calendar year 21?
I move that Mr. Sherman Vaughn be the chair, since he is the chair of our board and needs to be kept informed.
Are there Any other nominations?
I'll make a motion, we close the floor for nomination.
All those in favor of closing the floor for nominations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those in favor of Mr. Sherman Vaughn becoming chairman of the Fort Pickett Local Redevelopment Authority for 2021, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Thank you all for having confidence in me to head up this organization. We'll now have the chairman. We'll vote for vice chairman. Do I have any nominations?
I'll make a motion, we make Lynn Shackleton vice chair.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion to close the nominations.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was waiting for. It's been moved that Mr. Shackleton be named the vice chair. Those in favor?
Point of procedure. So he made a motion to close the floor. Let's vote on that
Okay.
for nomination.
The motion to close the nomination on Ms. Shackleton's name. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed? I'm trying to rush through and I shouldn't.
Wait a
Miss-
minute, wait a minute. Did we make the motion for Lynn to,
Yes.
That's next, yeah.
okay, all right, okay,
Okay, it's been second.
okay.
Okay, it's been moved that Mrs. Shackleton be named the vice chair. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Motion approved. Ms. Shackleton, you are the vice chair of the FLRA. Secretary. The chair is now open for the nomination of the secretary.
I'm not saying anything.
I was going to say, unless a board member wants to do it, that's typically a staff member. You can appoint a staff member.
Yeah, I think, normally, she said you can do a staff member.
Katie? I'd like to nominate Katie Tomer as secretary.
All right, I'll make a motion, we close the nomination, floor for nomination.
I'll second Ms. Simmons' motion.
It's been moved that we close the nomination
I second Mr. Bowen's motion to close.
on Ms. Katie
Tomer.
It's actually an appointment as opposed to a
Secretary.
nomination, yeah.
It's an appointment.
It's an appointment, so you can just vote on Ms. Tomer.
appointment too.
Okay.
Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, new business. I now call on Mr. Hill to discuss the new business.
Well, we normally have some lease actions that we need to renew as they come due, and there's two tonight. If you go down the list, do you have a list?
No, sir.
No. No.
Yeah, hold tight, Kay, I
It
think we
was-
can make it without it.
Yeah.
John, you go through them and tell us what you think and what.
Building 436 MCC Store and More, that expires the end of May, and I'd like to recommend that to renew that. It's $300 a year. He is $300 a month. He's at the cabinet shop out there and does his construction work out there.
Okay, what building is that, John?
436.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that John go through the ones, his recommendation, let's hear them, and then maybe we can group them all together. That'd be fine.
Okay.
Then William Lyles rents $23.65 for a hobby shop. That building's not in very good condition. And he pays $150 a month. And that lease expires at the end of March, so we need to put behind a month on that. And I'd recommend that he be extended for 1 year at the same rate.
Okay.
Mr. Hill, was that 1 year recommendation for 436 as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all of them?
That's all.
That's all.
That's all. Okay, we're looking at building 436 and 2365. 436, $300 a month, and 2365, $150.
Yes,
a
correct.
month. I need a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve new leases for buildings 2365 at $150 per month for 1 year, and building 436 for $300 a month for 1 year.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the leases for building 436, $300 per month, and the building 2365, $150 a month. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it.
All right, I have two other requests to rent buildings out there. Some of you may remember Henshaw Phelps was here. They were the contractor for the third phase of the Fast C construction project. Well, they moved out and vacated the end of March. That building was completely renovated at their expense to the tune of about $35,000. Plus, they fenced the whole parking area in. So the county is going to actually benefit from the improvements done by them. And we have another entity that has a contract for the maintenance on the Fast C project. They're already renting the metal building beside the incubator, 1279B, for $1,500 a month. That's T&H. I would recommend that we consider renting building 450 in the parking lot to them for $1,000 a month.
And you say in the parking lot, John?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Part of it.
Okay. All right, let me see if I get it right. They're now working for Fast C, and they're paying $1,500 a month for the building beside the,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
okay. You're recommending that they pay $1,000 a month and move into the building that's been
They're
completely
going to
renovated?
continue to use the building in the end, but they need the
Right.
office space for 450.
Okay, for $450, okay.
John, what was the monthly lease for the prior tenant?
They were paying $400 for the building and $200 for the parking lot,
Okay.
$600.
Okay.
Okay.
Would this be a 1 year as well, or month to
Yes,
month?
they're gonna want it longer than that, but we're starting with 1 year, I think.
Okay. What's your pleasure?
Helen?
Yes,
moved.
move
Yeah,
to
she got it.
move to approve for the,
Move to approve the recommendation by Mr. Hill. Do I get a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the recommendation from Mr. Hill. Question?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
This was the first one I've been involved in. Just a quick question. Do we need a public hearing or anything on an item like this?
For the LRA, no.
Okay,
For the
okay.
county, yes, but for the LRA, no.
Okay, okay, all right. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm just trying to learn something.
Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Mr. Hill?
All right, I have another client. His name is Keith Abbey. He's been after me since January. And when UAB Pro rented 3 or 4 buildings from us before they built their complex out at the airport. Well, 2357 is the building they used to use to do some of their building of the planes in. And I have this guy, Keith Abbey, who wants to use that building. It's building 2357. It's in fairly good shape. And I recommended to him that I was gonna talk to y'all at the tune of $450 a month.
Again, is that a 1 year?
Yes.
Okay, building
2357.
2357, he wants to rent for $450 a month. What's your pleasure?
I move to approve the Mr. Hill's recommendation for Keith Abbey, 2357 building at $450 a month for 1 year.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept Mr. Hill's recommendation for building 2357. The rent will be $450 a month. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
All right, I'm a little dilemma now. You remember in the past, we had a maintenance person who worked between the county and at LRA at Fort Pickett. I don't have that person anymore. I used to have 3 people working for me. I have 1 person now. I used to have inmates come from the Nottoway Work Center 5 days a week, and usually 5 or 6 of them, they help with grass, and actually some of them had some talent, could help me on repair on some of the buildings. I don't have that anymore. And they don't have no idea when we may be able to receive the inmates coming back and help us out. So I'm just thinking that y'all will have to understand that we cannot get everything done in a timely manner like we used to. Because we don't have the manpower to do it.
Did we, John, did we cut that, just talk freely, is that okay? Did we cut that position, or is the position still built in the budget? That's curious.
I think when he retired, they just
It cut?
We
Okay.
never replaced it.
got about it.
Okay,
Is the funding still in the budget, though?
no. Oh,
I just need to bring it to attention whether you might consider we being a part-time person to help out there, or either we're just gonna have to recognize that we cannot get everything done in a timely manner like I used to.
You just did the budget.
You can't have the properties unattractive out there. Just somebody coming in. It sounds like we need to put a position out there.
We're hoping that we can get the inmate work crews in sometime in May, sometimes this coming month. But we don't have any solid dates for that yet. But we have contacted the warden, and we have we've talked on the phone with one of the captains. So we're hoping we're gonna get some people out this month.
The governor is going to open up the state a little bit more come May 15th, so maybe at that time, but we need someone now.
But-
Mr. Hill needs somebody to help
Yeah.
him now.
Mr. Hill's situation is the same situation up here.
Yeah.
A lot of the repairs that we have asked, we've tried to contact contractors to help us with were the types of things that Mr. Flynn used to do for us when he worked here.
So, Mr. Hill, you have 1, it's down to 1 person, you used to have 3?
Had 3.
Had 3?
Yes.
Well, he needs someone.
Had 3 plus the inmates.
Well, he needs someone else.
Well, y'all have all the equipment out there, though, right? Yeah,
You want to authorize Mr. Hill to hire someone?
I'd be fine with that.
I think he needs someone.
budget question.
Yeah,
Not bud-
no.
So let me just ask this question. So, okay, so this is a local, this is a different authority, and the rent money goes back into the general fund, or do we keep that separate? Goes back to the general fund. In other words, with his rent money and stuff, you almost could, it almost should be self-sufficient out there or something. You know, that's what I was looking
Well,
at.
we have housekeepers. You've got to realize, I have 56 rooms in the lodge out there. I got 18 rooms in building 443, which is for the lineman students, and I have 7 rooms in building 408 for the diesel tech students. And some of you might not recall or weren't here, but the Southside Community College donated $75,000 towards the renovation of building 443, and a lot of that came from Dominion Power. They also contributed a considerable amount to the renovation of building 408. That was old dental clinic then.
Okay.
And that has worked out well. We rent them out, and I haven't had to hire any more housekeepers, but I have 4 full-time housekeepers.
Right.
29 hours a week.
Okay.
So that comes out of the expense of the LRA.
Okay.
To your question, Mr. Brown, highlighted, I think, another issue similar to just where things appear in the budget. It probably could be set up, or maybe should be, and this is just without an in-depth analysis. I don't pretend to have dissected everything, but possibly to reflect that as an enterprise fund,
Okay.
the LRA.
Uh-huh.
Because to your point, just based on what I have seen, I think they do have enough, and if you did set aside in an enterprise fund, for example, it would be readily apparent, I think, what your, to your
Right,
point,
right.
that the funding is there. With respect to the budget that you just adopted, if you approved a position, you also have the money, even if it's a department now. So I'm suggesting maybe, and it's probably a discussion to be had with your auditors to make sure that everybody's on board with that scenario to make it an enterprise fund. But with respect to the budget you just adopted, the money is there because at present it is a department. So you do have the money there, you might have to move it.
Yeah, I got you.
But don't even, because to the other point that the position wasn't in the budget.
Right.
But you do have money in your total budget.
Yeah, I got you.
Even if you make it an enterprise fund, you could do a fund transfer as well. So this will help.
What do y'all think? What do you think about, John? I'm just throwing this out there because it would help us make a good decision about hiring someone. Could you show us maybe at the next meeting how much money you have to contract out? Like how many times, the cost of plumbers, whatever you had to maintenance guy. In other words, you got to still do the work. So go ahead and hire people, and then let us see what it's cost. In other words, if it's cost $80,000, then we say, whoa, man, we get somebody for $30,000 and give them benefit. You know what I mean? I think that would be a more of an informative decision.
Okay.
All right. You guys all right with that?
There was a time, Mr. Rourke, that all the money that was collected out at Pickett had to be used
Right.
at the LRA, but that changed.
2012, I believe.
I think it was. You're exactly right. And so we need to put some of this money back that we're
into
getting
the-
from there back into the LRA.
Right. All right.
One other thing, I have and it's a county policy, I have a $500 limit on what I can spend without getting bids. I've got about 6 rooms out there now in the lodge that I cannot rent because it needs some floor repair. Contractor won't come in and give me a bid on it, and they do not know how much it's gonna cost until they tear the floor up and find out how much damage is done. So there are ways that you can hire people, being a state entity, a government agency, to do this kind of work. But the $500 limit on what I can spend without getting bids from everybody is limiting me in what I can get done. And that's 5 rooms that I'm not getting rent from because I need repairs.
Since we adopted the state code, wouldn't he be able to utilize that as well?
You're a separate authority, so you would have to make the same motion and do the same thing for this authority.
Okay.
Yes, you can do that,
Okay.
but it would be for this authority.
All right, so unless y'all got any objections, I'd make a motion for the LRA to adopt the state code for procurement procedures.
I'll second that. Makes it simple.
Okay. You want a second?
A second?
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we go with the state.
Thank you.
Procurement code.
Procurement code.
Right. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
And I'll give you a little update. I've got, just like up here, we had storm damage from the ice storm back in February. I've got a tree that's on 2323 Dobbs Road. That's a farmhouse back across from the airport. And I've called 3 contractors and they haven't called me back. But there's some dead limbs up in there I need to cut out because they're hanging and could fall on the house. And so I'm working on that. And also a tree fell on the old fire station, building 284, and I'm waiting to get the insurance adjuster to come down and look at that. I need to get that off and repaired. And since the COVID affected the nation. The club rental has been just about zip since last April. So that has really cut down on the income for people renting the club, because the limitations were 25 people, there were 10 people, then they went to 25, and now it's 50, and May 15th is supposed to go to 100. So we do have a few people that's going to start having functions in it after the middle of May. I just want to let you know that the income is down quite a bit, and I guess Katie's going to give you these figures.
Yeah, I'll do better at my job next month.
Okay.
Promise.
All right. That's about all I have tonight, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill.
Okay. We'll now hear from Katie. And Katie, could you tell us about the bowling alley as well as anything else?
I will defer to county attorney.
So, do they have to lease the draft?
I do.
Okay. So I had prepared, it's a very simple draft lease, not unlike the one that you had before with some blanks in it because of the discussion that took place before with respect to the bowling alley lease. What I did not, and I had used the original lease terms, and this is my fault. Ms. Tomer did give me the whole file with the amendment, and that was my fault. I didn't pick up the amended terms because the amendment was to change the rental amount to 8% of gross sales. So I think that was what the later deal that was struck was. That's my understanding. And then the other request, and I'm passing this along, so stop me if I get it wrong, Ms. Tomer, is that to add a provision, and this is it's implicit, but it would be fine or smart to add a provision, and I think Mr. Carmichael has requested to say that the county maintains the exterior, which is normal when you run a building, and also that the county would maintain the HVAC system. In other words, he would be renting this building with those things working, and if it breaks, the county, or the LRA, I should say, I'm sorry, not the county, the LRA would fix those things. So the amendments would be to add a provision that said that, and to change the rent to 8% of gross sales. And the only other question that I had, and this is something, however y'all want to handle it, but when he would want to start and occupy, and during that startup period, there would be no gross sales. So as long as you're okay with some sort of startup period, you may want to address that. But you could just say straight out, 8% of gross sales, and if there are none, I mean, that sort of takes care of itself. But I just wanted to raise that just so everybody's aware that, logic would dictate that there would be some sort of startup. And the term, I think the original term, and I've got it on my laptop, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but I think I may have left that blank as well. So that would be the other thing that I would commend to you that you consider and let us know so we could finalize it.
The only thing Mr. Carmichael was encouraging and urged was that it needs to be renewed for a minimum of 2 years. to allow
Right.
them
2 years?
And that was your that was your conversation before at the board, at the Board of Supervisors meeting, that it would be a minimum of 2 years to give him time, I think, to get reestablished and get it back up and running, and to warrant the investment of time and inventory and that sort of thing, I think is, if I may assume.
I have someone approached me about the bowling alley. So there is someone else that's interested in the bowling alley. And I said I would bring that up tonight, that there is another person interested in it.
Steve,
Well, so I think we need to,
I know you work with that.
yeah, so I think we need to get, I'm trying to figure out, let's get this, I'd like to get this bowling alley back in service, and this guy's a good relationship, David Carmichael. And David has welcomed that we find somebody, so I think it'd be a good opportunity, let's get him some time to get started up, hang on to that person, Helen, what I'm thinking about, and then we introduce these two people, and, because David is willing to pass that over to somebody if they were interested in purchasing, but he's looking for a 2-year, and because he wants to make money too, and I get that. And so, what do you think? That's fair?
Well, the person is interested, may even to buy it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
If you were to approve a lease and then someone wanted to come along and buy it, I mean, there's always something that can be negotiated out.
Right,
So in
right.
other words, it doesn't mean that
Everything stops,
opportunity.
yeah.
Right.
and they
So,
could take over the lease from whoever's there.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you, I was looking at Lynn Shackleton. Did you look at the lease, and what's your thoughts on it?
I did, in prior discussions, my only request was that default provisions be included, and I see that they are included in this. So as long as there's that protection for the county, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too. The startup, I'm trying to, yeah, I'm getting what you're saying. The 8%. So whatever money he makes, it's 8%. And so but the startup is it's tough because he's not in the season. The wintertime is the season, and we went through the wintertime because we couldn't get the lease together. It was really his lease stopped in January, and he's been paying electrical bill and everything since then.
So you could, and I would suggest a lot of times for insurance purposes, if someone's occupying it, for your insurance purposes, you want to charge something. So,
Right.
I mean, but it could be a nominal amount even. So you could say 8% with like not less, but not less than, I mean, something very nominal. And this is not to be difficult for Mr. Carmichael, but just to cover that issue, but also to ensure that, that there's if you have a lease with no consideration, there's also the question of do you really have a lease and then insurance and all that kind of thing. So oftentimes personally, that's just the way I draft. I try to build in something. It could be $1, but so it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it just establishes a consideration amount.
I just feel like we need to be lenient on that startup. Yeah. That's the only thing. I just think that's fair. I think that's very fair.
How do you define lenient? How lenient do you want to be?
I won't go on a dollar lien.
And for how long?
3 months. 3 months of fair startup. I mean, the first month, let's face it, he's got to go in there. It's going to take some time, So I thought 3 months would be fair. If the authority thinks the same thing, we want him to be successful,
Right.
And he has stuck by us through thick and thin. Somebody drove a car through the place, y'all. I mean, that kind of like made national.
And then the pandemic hit.
Oh man, it's just one thing of another. It was just anyway.
But to cover what Ms. Giles was saying, should we maybe put a $50 or $100 minimum on that?
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to do something because it can't be just say rent. We don't let anybody rent free, right, John? I mean, nobody rent free.
I mean, I'd be okay with 100. I mean,
And if we put that in there, does that continue on? Do we limit the period of time that minimum would be accepted, or does that continue for any month?
Well, what I was working off of Mr. Bowen's latest comment, so where my mind was going was to say the minimum for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then after that, no minimum at
no minimum,
all.
right.
But then it just covers, like I said, the consideration. It's not to be onerous to Mr. Carmichael in any way, but you have probably all had the conversation about contracts, and you have to have some sort of consideration.
Right.
So
Okay, Katie, that's we've had conversation with that. That seems fair to him. You think it's fair to him? You think it'd be acceptable? Yeah. No, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, just conversation with him. He told me that the startup is really important to him, and he wanted to start up in the winter, and he couldn't do that. And he's got to go in there. He's got to throw away stuff. I mean, he's like maybe $5,000 or $6,000 worth of stuff that has to be thrown away. It's just I just was trying to do a fair, So I say $100 minimum for 3 months doing a startup, and then the fair and
Then go to the 8%.
yeah, go to 8%.
And then after that, it's just 8%, no matter what. And during the first, if he were to very quickly start up and start generating gross revenues, would it be $100? No, we're saying a minimum. So if it were more than that, okay, never mind. I've answered my own question as I said it out loud.
No, that's right. I get it. I thank you for talking out with us. So, everybody is okay with that?
Okay.
yes, sir.
John, you okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Lynn?
Yes, sir.
All right.
We need a motion, we
other
need a
business.
motion, we need a motion to approve.
To clarify that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to beat that dead horse, but after the first 3 months, if the 8% of gross ended up being $50, that's fine. Is that,
Yeah, that's right.
it's just the 3 months, just because to establish,
Right, just to get him established and
Right.
we'll start off. So we need a motion to approve the lease as the amendments that we
Yes.
just discussed?
the lease document provided in the form provided to you with the amendments discussed tonight, and then authorize the chairman to sign it.
Okay, so I make a motion that we'll approve the lease that was sent to us with the amendments that we discussed tonight and give you the authorization to sign that lease and get Mr. Carmichael to sign it as well.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we sign the lease, the amendments to the lease. Question. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign.
Okay.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Other business,
We have no other business, Mr. Chairman.
okay?
Let's go bowling.
The chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Vaughn, if I can make one quick comment. Katie, God bless you and thank you for all the work you did on that budget.
Yeah. good
Yes.
job.
Thank you.
You did a wonderful job.
Thank you,
The
John.
office staff, all of you.
All of us
Yes.
concur.
John, Procyse, thank you.
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Those in favor, let it be known by the usual sign. Those opposed, the ayes have it.
I sent you those pictures, let you choose one and